Hello, credit repair business owners. In today's video, we're breaking down the exact numbers you need to hit if you want to do at least 30K in your credit repair business. Now, don't get me wrong, Reef over here is absolutely crushing it because not only is he running ads, he has an incredible social media presence, and he also has referrals coming in. But for my part of this video over here, I'm breaking down the numbers for hitting 30K a month in his credit repair business using specifically ads. Don't get me wrong, though, guys. You do need to make sure you have social media. Your social media, your brand awareness needs to be on point for your ads to really work. And I got plenty of videos that talk about that. But in today's video, we're going over the numbers. So let me share my screen right now. Cool. So this is an actual ad account over here, guys. I'm going to breaking down the numbers, numbers that we need to hit based upon our financial modeling behind our financial KPI sheet or data sheet over here in order to really make sure that he's actually profitable. Because guys, what ads really are is you're placing ads out there to be able to acquire a client within your budget. You know, if you put an ad out there and you're spending more than $1,000 to acquire a credit client, is it really worth it? Because the average cost per deal over here, the average revenue that a credit client will generate for you is around $1,000. So if you're spending anything above these KPIs, it's not really going to make sense for you. So let's break down this really quick over here. This is what we shoot for. And for this example, we are using something called conversation starters. Conversation starters are pretty much, you just click on one button, it creates a conversation, and then our appointment setters then respond back to them. And it might just shoot a little quick little automated response. For the point of this video, let me show you really quick what something like that actually looks like. Destination over here. So we have it set so that it sends out these automated responses over here. Boom, name, quick question, phone number, email, and then a link to just schedule a quick call right over here. So these are auto chats over here, I call them. They have auto chats, and then we have convo starters. For these examples over here, we're using convo starters. We originally were using, we're using auto chats here. We originally were using conversation starters, but we switched over to auto chats over here so I could simplify his appointment setting with his team. Long story short, auto chats, conversation starters. This number over here, cost per meta lead, is really going to be around the same thing, mainly being because you get charged when somebody actually really clicks on that lead form, when they actually create a conversation with you, regardless if it's an auto chat or just a conversation opener. They both work great and they both make money. Okay, it's just this sales system. This is what we're doing. With that being said, let me break down these numbers over here. Let me show you exactly how we actually hit these numbers. Show you the exact optimization sequence that we do with our clients over here. But for simplicity, let's say over here, we want to do 30K a month. What numbers do we have to hit in order to hit 30K a month? It's based upon experience. We know that immediately, the average cost per conversation here, the average cost per lead, whether it's auto chat or just opening up a conversation, is be around $5 over here. But then we're talking about messenger ads right now. Messenger ads, and typically 30% of them immediately just don't respond. So we increase that just a little bit more to around 40%. This way it gives you a little bit of buffer room. In which case, people, bad fit over here, people might not respond, or people might just be like price shopping. This is where that 40% take place over here. So what that really means, out of those 500 leads over here, if they're paying $5 for, you're going to have 300 actual good opportunities. Good opportunities as in they qualify, they're motivated, they're financially capable. You just really got to close those deals. Now, assuming a 10% closing rate, which is kind of average industry on here is 10%. Don't get me wrong, some of our guys are absolute freaking killers and they're doing way more than that. They're closing 25, 35%, as in once 3 out of 10 calls are doing, they're closing. But just to make this simple over here, guys, especially for maybe you coming in, maybe a little bit new over here, this is a good closing rate for you. Based upon this, 300 deals, you close 10% of those, you're actually closing 30 deals over here. 30 times $1,000 over here, you're looking around 30 grand every single month. The cost per close, the CAC is what people call it, the cost to acquire a client over here is around $83, giving you 11. ROAS is return on ad spend. So if you spend $1,000, you're multiplying by 11 over here, this is what you're making. Now, we do have some expenses taking place over here, but that's okay because we can always play around with the numbers a little bit. I love ads because if you find a converting ad, all you got to do is add zeros to the end of the budget. So over here, let's take an account over here. Cost for appointment set is around $750. It's like a 9 to 5 or just appointment setting, closing deals on chat or scheduling calls out for you, pre-qualifying them. We typically also charge around a 10% performance fee on top of that. So our performance fee is around 10%, but that 10% is based upon the ad spend. So over here, if you spend 2,500 bucks over here, we're going to charge you at the end of the month 10% and an additional 250. And then so what that really means is that 250 plus 750 over here, this is adjustable based upon ad spend over here. Total expenses looking at around $1,000. So the actual profit, which is this minus this over here, is around 26K. But like I said, we can always play around with this. So over here, boom, it's looking a lot better. Instead of 500 leads to start, we're going to have to format our KPI sheet to bring around 600 leads at $5 per lead in order to actual profit to be around 30 grand, above 30 grand. So let's give an example over here with one of our clients. Reef over here is doing amazing. Now this is how we optimize his ads. So previously what we did, and I just optimized it already before going into here. But what I wanted to really make note over here is that each ad set has either scale or test. So the previous test that we had over here was a graphics test. This scale ad, which was this mortgage denial video over here, was our previous scale ad. I only see this one over here was our original OG scale ad. But as you can see over here, the cost per lead started to increase. Maybe because, well, the frequency isn't really going up, but it originally started out around $5 lead cost, but now it's starting to go up as we go. It's starting to creep up on us. So it's now $7. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to test out between a video and a graphic to see how that performs. So this is the scale one. This is the previous performing video. We implemented the graphic test over here, in which case Reef is in front of a Cybertruck over here. Boom. Add a couple new pieces of graphics. I'm gonna copy on here, and boom. Our hunch was right. Under $5 lead cost means that's a good winner. That's a winner over there. It's another scale ad. I don't really make changes until after we spend at least 50 bucks on here. Usually 3 times KPIs. That is a good indication of which you should start cutting it out and add. So for example, let's say that you spend around $15, $20. Your lead cost wants to be around $5. That's a good telltale that, hey, now you should make some optimizations over here. If you want your lead cost or your cost per schedule and funding is a lot more, your cost per schedule is around 50 bucks on there. If you spend $150 on there and it's not breaking at that $50 per schedule, you got an issue over here. Same case over here. So we spent more than that. It's okay, but our lead cost is really good. So now what we do is we take this and we consolidate the budgets. We take this, we duplicate it, and we throw it into our actual scale ad over here. Now keep in mind though, if you have 2 different offers here, like for example, this is mortgage to credit, this one over here is credit and loans, you don't want to consolidate 2 different offers under one ad set because it's different targeting. This graphic test makes sense to consolidate onto here and just to save you some money, consolidate budgets. And take a look at this. This is our previous performer over here, and then it was the budget, the cost per lead was starting to creep up on us. So what I did is I implemented a couple more pieces of copy and boom, brought it right back down. A lot of times where you can even do, honestly, like we've done in the past, you can see over here, is if the budget starts to creep up or lead quality starts to kind of go down a little bit, what you can even do is really just duplicate the ad set and it usually refreshes things. But worst case scenario, implement more copy, implement a couple more windows in there. Now, our other test over here, other test was to go after credit and loans, promote people that got denied for their loans. This was over here, but the issue is that this is above KPIs. So over here, it's above the $5 lead cost. We already spent more than 3x that KPI that we're trying to hit. So this is a good indication that this might not be a winner, and then we might want to test out a few more things over here. So what that means is I'm going to get with my client, I'm going to reach out to him like, hey, we got to make maybe a couple more picks or something different. I might try to test out a couple more pieces of copy. I might have my editor just rework this graphic a little bit, maybe make things pop a little bit more. Whatever it is, we're going to figure it out and split test it because you're not going to know until you test. Another thing too, previously I had our retargeting up, but the cost per lead over here started to creep up on us. So what I did is I cut it off for now, just so that we can find a couple more winners over here. And then the winners we're going to throw onto here as well too. Winners and retargeting, you could go $10 per lead on here. But it really does depend on the quality on these people over here because they're just clicking on the same ad multiple different times. That's not right. So you really would want to keep track of everything through quality, as well too, especially with retargeting, because if the retargeting is bringing you a $10 cost per lead, but they actually are closing because they saw your page multiple different times, I'd pay that all day. I'd definitely pay that all day. All right, the last part over here that I want to go over is our famous strategy. Now, famous strategy, the entire point of this is really just to make closing a whole lot easier. Over here, we got around 10 videos over here. The entire point of this, again, is to rotate all the best pieces of content that you have to these people from the moment that they click until the time that they actually sign up today. So check this out, like more wins over here. He's showing testimonials. How do we do? What's it like to be in the process? Are you an entrepreneur? Another person, credit fixed. Another client, all their stuff removed. And the video sounds professional, but our labels probably aren't. But what I'm trying to say over here, that this is a fantastic strategy over here to rotate the content in a very, very condensed period of time over here. Preferably, some of our best clients over here have like 30, 50 videos on here, you know. But preferably, you want as many on here. You want to no less than really 10 videos. I always tell people to shoot for 30. And this is an accumulation thing. So as you're going, you're always adding more to this famous strategy over here. And again, what it is between that 72-hour period, between the time they click on the ad and they actually show up or buy, you want to take all your content and rotate it out to the people. Don't have it repeat so that they see a whole bunch of your content in a very short period of time and they trust you a lot more. And when you hop on those actual sales calls with somebody that saw a lot of your content, they're like, "Yo, are you famous over here? I'm just I saw all your content over here. I absolutely love all your content, and I can't get you off my Explorer page." But in reality, it's just your ads are actually running the right way. So this over here makes closing a whole lot easier and quite literally makes you famous. That's why I renamed it from the hammer strategy, from what Jeremy Haynes calls it, over to the famous strategy, because that's exactly what this shit is over here. Hey guys, this is how we optimize our ads over here. My next piece of homework over here is to get a couple more pieces of retargeting over here. We do have a couple winners on here, which I love. I want to get at least 3 to 5 winners, especially if we're going to start really scaling this up. We did bring the budget down a little bit because today is the 5th of July. He's previously used to spending around 125 to 150 a day. But again, July 4th was yesterday, so it kind of just made the calendar a little weird. So we lowered it a little bit. But this is how we optimize the ads. We're always making sure they're in KPIs, and this is actually how we scale ads. If we start to notice that, maybe the bad fit, it goes down to like a 30%. Great, that's good. Maybe it's a little bit high, but this gives a good understanding of where we really need to optimize. So based upon these numbers over here, hey, what first are we hitting this lead cost over here? If we are, great. If we're not, we got a problem over here. You got to solve. What happened over here? There you go. It's not it's a problem we got to solve. We got to split test, add more graphics, duplicate the ad set, whatever it might be. Are we hitting bad fit, no response? Is that 40%? Now the conversations coming in, are they bad fit? If it's anything worse than that, if it's higher than this, then we got to target the right people. We got to change around the copy, we got to change around the offer and the actual ad, or we got to double check our tracking to make sure that we're tracking stuff right to be able to train the pixel to bring in higher quality people for you. From here next too is, hey, are you closing at least 10%? So out of these, if you have everything's looking good over here in terms of the numbers all above it here, are we closing at 10%? Is it that our closers just sucked or they're really, really good, whatever it might be, but this is the best way to be able to pinpoint exactly what you need to fix in your business in order to really scale it. Like let's say our closing rate is it's like a freaking, I don't know, 5%. Maybe the guy needs more sales training. I just had a guy, in which case his closings, his bad fit, no rate, no response over here was really, really good. It was like 30. Honestly, I think it was even better than that. It might have been like a 20. Regardless, he wasn't able to close it. His closing, he might have closed like 1% out of like 100 people or something like that, 100 good opportunities he had. That's an issue. That means he's not making money. So what we did is we built out his ChatGPT a little bit better, gave him some sales scripts, also gave him a pain point checklist as well too to make closing a lot easier. We have a 5-minute sales scripts and night and day, well, not necessarily night and day difference, but it started to creep up, probably at around a 5% now. But even at a 5% close rate over here, like, we're still doing really good over here. It's just being able to understand your numbers, stay consistent with this shit, and making sure that you don't really make emotional decisions here. As soon as you start making emotional decisions over here and not based upon some sort of binary shit like your numbers, your KPI sheet, then you have an issue. Once you start making decisions based upon your emotions, every single time you make an optimization on Facebook, it quite literally charges you. So if you make an optimization that doesn't benefit you, you're gonna get charged money. You're gonna be losing money. More importantly, you're gonna be losing time. So with all our clients, we make sure that all decisions are made through our KPI sheets. I'm not going to talk to somebody unless we have the KPI sheet filled out. Important. That's for another video though, the actual KPI sheet. This over here is the financial modeling. So you understand the numbers that we need to hit in order to be able to scale the business up. I want to thank you guys for watching. God bless. Need help with this? Want me to teach your team? Or you want us to just freaking just run it for you? Go to creditrepairmarketing.com. Boom. Creditrepairmarketing.com. We got everything for you guys. We're going to take care of you. God bless. Make some money, because when you make you more money, we get paid more. Talk to you guys later. Peace out.